You're listening to Overseas Dreams. What's up, world? Welcome back to Overseas Dreams. This is show 47. Welcome back to the best radio show on earth and in space. And today, I have a wonderful guest today. I am super excited because, as some of y'all know, I have relocated. And so this is the very first poet that I am interviewing in my new location. I am stoked. I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Cool. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here. It really is a blessing to be able to bless your mic as well as mics around the city. My name is Mo. I go on Instagram by mamba.mo. That's MLE. So without further ado, we could get into it.
Let's go. She don't waste no time. Let's get it. Well, thank you for being on here. I've been interviewing poets, honestly, maybe a year now, but I'm excited. I've been excited to get into the Cincinnati area and get back to it. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So before we get started, because I have to go into where we met. If you don't know about the poetry scene in and around Cincinnati, go to Facebook and there's a couple groups on there: Poetry in Cincinnati events and Word of Mouth Cincinnati. Any others that you know of?
Nostalgia and Japs both have some really incredible events. Occasionally Somerset around the city too. They were off for a little while, but I think they're starting to get back into the scene.
I'm still learning about some of the stuff out here, but yes, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, follow these pages so you can know. It's weird because for the past last part of last year, I was so used to plugging like poetry in Fayetteville, and now I'm plugging poetry in Cincinnati, so it's a switch for me. But anyway, welcome to Overseas Dreams.
Thank you.
The best radio show on earth and in space. And if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know.
So, who is Mo? Tell the people, who is Mamba.mo?
Sure. So, I've been writing poetry going on for about 4 or 5 years now. I started out just kind of writing pieces and really talking about my emotions and my life experiences, and it became very therapeutic for me. It was a way for me to kind of release everything that goes on in my head. I'm constantly thinking at 1,000 miles a minute, all of the time about everything. So for me, it was a way to not only share how complex my brain is with other people, but I really enjoy the imagery aspect of it. Like, you'll have people who will come in and say that they're sad, but when I tell you that I feel like I'm in a sea all by myself and I look around and for hundreds of miles you see nothing but open water, you can kind of understand the sense of drowning and sadness a little more.
That was a poem in itself.
So I started out performing. My friends actually gave me the confidence to get out and start doing open mics, and I started performing in Cleveland. And the Cleveland art scene is really super incredible. I really found a home there. People from artists to musicians to poets all support each other, and so it was really great to have that community there. And then I moved back to Cincinnati about 2 years ago, and I've been trying to get my foot in the door and finding my poetry scene.
Come on. You out there. She be out here.
I'm a little out there. I like to stay humble, but it's been really incredible the past 2 years, from doing little coffee shop open mics at like Sitwell's in Clifton, and then being able to do some of the cooler events like Japs with Lucky Lee, and then you got Ty Victoria at Nostalgia.
Oh, we gonna come back to Nostalgia.
We'll get to that. We'll get there. But yeah, I would say that, I'm just a really loving and caring person who was put here on this earth to help heal others as well as heal myself and spread love and joy in the process. And I believe that life is all about experiencing things and really just learning, growing, and ever evolving.
Okay. So my first time seeing you was my very first time at Japs. I want to say, well, it would have had to been March, because I just got here in February. So, and I don't remember what you did there, but when I officially met you at Nostalgia, y'all, this girl started talking to me because she remembered me from Japs. And I'm so introverted. I was like, I don't want nobody talking to me, but I need to make friends out here. It was real weird dynamic for me. But I was like, yo, she's dope. So in the back of my mind, I already kind of had like, okay, I need to get her on Overseas Dreams. Like, I have a mental list. And so you were already on the mental list. For sure.
It was really awesome getting to see you perform at Japs, and you shouted out your Instagram and everything, and I followed you immediately just because off the first poems you performed at Japs, I was like, I'm definitely going to want to collab with her, and I want to follow her and see where she's going.
Sure.
And then when you came to Nostalgia, I remember sitting on the couch.
That was my first time in Nostalgia, too.
Yeah, I remember sitting on the couch, and I had a glass of wine. You know, I always got a little glass of wine with me.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I saw you looking around for seating, and I had a whole couch sitting next to me, and I told you, I was like, man, come on over. Like, I remember you from last time. Like, didn't you just move out here? And just wanted to get to know you a little more and kind of understand. I think it's great when poets get the chance to connect. And beyond connection also too, I love sharing my love for other people's artwork because I enjoy receiving that love in return. So you give what you put out, and I truthfully believe that. So as much credit as you give to me, I have to give back to you.
Stop it. Stop it. You're not going to big me up on my own show. And it's funny that night because that was my first time in Nostalgia. I had only seen Ty at Japs that one time. And because you started talking to me, and then the other girl started talking to both of us, I volunteered her. I don't volunteer people because I don't like to be volunteered. But I did it. I was really like, by that point, I was kind of out my shell. So it was the one thing I've noticed, even when I was in North Carolina, Fayetteville specifically, the poetry scene was just so dope and loving. There was this, vibe between not just poets and audience, but poets and other poets. I didn't know there was a poetry scene out there. I'd been out there for years, but never looked into it. I was like, okay, I need to find that when I move. And the poetry scene in Cincinnati is crazy.
Wicked.
I haven't even been to probably
wicked.
half of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just found out about, what is it, the Comet?
Yeah.
I need to check that out. I got that. I'm gonna check it out. Soon. Nostalgia, Japs.
They got Sitwell, Roebling.
Sitwell, yeah. Motor Pub on the 4th or last Sunday of the month.
Yeah, it's...
You know about them.
It's honestly hard to kind of keep track of everything that goes on in the city until after it happens, and you're like, dang, I didn't even know about that.
What is it? Queen City Radio?
Queen City Radio, yeah.
I haven't been there yet.
That's one you got to get to. That's a really cool event.
It'll happen one day. One day. If I can come up here on a Friday, then yeah. Because that sounds like a party.
Yeah. It's like a 3-part series. So they start out with poets, and really it's just a night of the arts. So you'll have poets for the first hour, then they get into musical artists the second hour, and the third hour they always have like a fun event to where maybe they'll do a fashion show, but throughout the night they'll have different events for people to just really come together and vibe. They'll have coloring sheets and pages, which I know some people will laugh at, but it's the little things that make
folk
us
be coloring.
Right. It's the little things that, remind us that we still have a child inside of us. Absolutely. That really bring the most artistic ability to us, I think.
Okay. See, I'm still learning about some of this stuff. I literally just found out about the Comet, yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, because one thing I did before I got out here was like just search through Facebook for poetry groups and events, and at first it was really hard. But once I got into a couple of the groups, it was like, okay, this is a little bit easier now.
Yeah.
And then of course going to the events you're gonna find out about, like, that's how I found about nostalgia, because Ty got up there and started talking about it at Japs. So yeah, the poetry scene out here is just it's different. Maybe because it's a bigger city.
Yeah.
It's different. I don't want to go into how different it is at this present moment, because I will just go. But it's different.
Cincinnati really cares about giving back to the arts. There's a ton of schools that they have here, the Performing Arts Center, and just in general, if you look at all the museums, they really give back to the city in terms of funding. You drive around downtown Cincinnati, it's hard to pass a building that doesn't have a mural on the side of the building.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I like that, especially OTR.
Right, yeah.
For y'all that don't know, OTR is Over the Rhine. You can tell more about Over the Rhine. I don't really know anything about it. I just know it's a whole bunch of bars that don't serve food, and I be hungry. So
that's fairly accurate. OTR has come up over the past several years. They've done a lot of construction and, for lack of better terms, gentrification of the area. It's definitely come up over the years, and you go a couple streets over, you'll find the food spots, but you're gonna have to walk around the block.
That's fine. I'm willing to do it. And a couple of these places have some I didn't know Japs had live music on, like, Saturdays, live jazz.
Yeah.
I was just walking by one day and I'm like, Japs? Oh, and I stopped in for a minute. I'm like, love this.
Yeah, there's a lot of hole-in-the-wall hidden gem places. There's a place literally called Lost and Found that can be difficult to get to, as well as Mecca. That's another cool spot where they'll host and have different events for local artists in the city and just giving back to the community.
That's dope. All right, we about to go to a song before I get off on a tangent, because I'm excited. I really am excited. And like I said, you are my first Cincinnati area poet. But we'll be back after this track. Y'all don't go anywhere. Y'all know what to do. Keep it locked.
Thank you for removing yourself from my life, because now I can see just how much you diminished my light. I know that you enjoyed your time and you were so caught up that you forgot about mine. I'm not regretful of you. I'm upset of the space I allowed your poison into. Allowed you to take when you weren't willing to give, then wanted to play victim because you couldn't get enough of this. Possessing and stealing, you're fucking selfish, but honestly, it wasn't you, it was me. I should have told you to leave me be, especially when we started arguing after week 3. I allowed you to place camp here. Made you feel safe and made your mental clear. You said, I feel like I've met you before. That's because I'm an angel that heaven sent to earth, and you were one of the lessons that I had to learn. So I want to thank you for this fire that's beginning to burn. Don't hit my line in a few months when you figure out what I was, because I am no longer her and there's no possibility of an us. You drained me, stripped me to the bone. You know what? I'm glad you decided to leave me alone. I was never questioning your integrity. I was merely going off what you shown. You want me to leave it be? Well, here it goes. You're toxic for me, and that's a fact. I'm tired of sitting here and pretending like you got my back. Truth is, you don't give a fuck about me, and that's whack, especially because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm just now getting my call back. I'm so fed up with you, I don't even know where to begin. My bad, shorty, I've been locked in. Truth is, it's the same old story, just a little different spin. You don't even bother to ask how my day's been. You don't know when I'm available and you don't ask when. The only time you give a fuck is when you want me to suck on your foreskin. Then it's, you know I love you through thick and thin. I finally see my worth and you can't have it. And if you try to take it from me, I'll light your shit up with a matchstick. You're not a man, you're a fucking dick. You've been single for how long and you ain't cuffed no chick? It's because you know that you a trick. Yeah, I know this is harsh, but I got a bone to pick because you can't treat women like this, like we ain't worth it and don't mean shit. And when I express my emotions, I'm crazy and a lunatic. Just know that I peep shit. And it makes me sick that you really think you're something slick. See, you played it well, had me feeling for you like an addict, but I should have trusted my instincts after our first conflict. Your behaviors never matched your words, you were hard to predict, but I'm done with you now and it's time to evict. Just know that I'm cool now and you can never have this bitch.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, what's the name of that? Where did that come from? Because I felt some strong motion there.
Yeah. So that one's actually called Untitled.
Oh, boo. Need a title.
No, it's called Untitled for a reason. I was talking to somebody at the time, and they were kind of playing back and forth with my feelings and emotions, telling me that they wanted to be with me and wanted to make me their wife, and were doing all the relationship stuff, but when I tried to further the said relationship, they would back out or start acting weird, and really truthfully just made me feel like a booty call. Yeah, right. Or really seemed like they only wanted me around when they were trying to drain my light from me. We bumped heads a lot early on into kind of us talking to each other and getting to know each other. But we always had a really great time together, and I really did enjoy them as a person. But after several months of us kind of going back and forth with us not really going nowhere, I really sat with myself and decided, is this a choice that I want to continue to make and continue to put myself through? So I'm quite literally putting myself through this mental chaos and mental turmoil. So I sat down and really thought back about it, and you know what? I was like, I'm worth more than that. I mean more than that, and I deserve more than that, and had to have a really hard conversation with myself about what I was settling for. So I actually wrote that poem sitting in the parking lot after he had called me back at 3:00 in the morning one night. I had called him around 2 p.m. that day and didn't get my call back till 3 a.m. and got left a drunk voicemail of him.
Oh boy.
Right. And it's not like that's what our relationship was like either all the time, but I really was sitting there in the parking lot and was like, you know what, I'm not doing this no more, because it's time that I recognize my power and my worth and what that means. And I wrote that poem probably in about 10 minutes. Just Twitter fingers, getting it out. And after I started to read it back, I was like, damn, like, okay, I need to read that a couple more times to get it to stick in my head and stick to my guns and really know that, like, I'm worth more than that. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from, the life experiences. And I think, you know, us as human beings, we can have a tendency to undermine our value.
That's a poem in itself.
So it's a little poem that I felt like a lot of people have at least had a couple of experiences with in their own life. Even if it's just bits and parts of the poem where they're like, oh yeah, yep, I've definitely, you know, my bad, shorty, I've been locked in. Like, don't give me the excuses, but be looking at me in my face and telling me you want to be with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. That's crazy. No, that was good. I remember, actually, yeah, my first night at Nostalgia, I think you did that poem.
Yeah.
Yo, everybody went crazy with that part. Oh my gosh. I'm sure you got like quite a few rewinds.
Yeah, that's definitely a fan favorite, and kind of what my segment is on tonight is just about love in all different capacities, loving yourself, loving others, loving the world, and loving the people who mean most to you, even if they have hurt you and done wrong to you.
So do you normally like type your poems out, or do you usually write, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. It really depends on the occasion of how I feel. I do type a lot of my poems out. I have so many unfinished or poems I've started in my notes app where I've had moments of inspiration, and I'm like, I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, I can't let this go. I can't let this guy, even if it's just a little bit that I got right now. This has got to get out of my head, because that's a banger. Like, so if I'm trying to do something quick and off the whim, I'll do them on my notes. But if I'm trying to be more intentional about my writing, I'll actually sit and write. But at the same time too, I feel like sitting and writing, I'm very conscientious of what I write about, because it's very much kind of like a spell in a sense once you write it out there and physically exert your energy to make even the movements of the shapes of the letters. So yeah,
I hear poetry and everything. Like the way you just said that was just, I feel like I'm the opposite though. Like when I'm writing, like I'm more conscious of what I'm saying if I'm typing it in my phone. Whereas when I'm writing, I'm just writing the first thing that comes to me. Granted, I'm typing the first thing that comes to me too, but somehow like the movement of the pen on the paper just inspires me to go further. So usually if it's a poem that I finish, 9 times out of 10 I wrote it.
Yeah.
If it's a poem that's in my phone, I would say only 70% are finished.
Yeah. But see, you are kind of the same because you're more intentional with your writing when you write it. You'll finish it out and want it, and you'll get it done. Right. That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know what I'm writing until I'm done. Like sometimes it'd be all over the place and I'll read it back and I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's cohesive. That makes sense.
Yeah. I definitely feel as poets, we kind of, in a sense, can have our artistry take over us. And it's not until we snap out of it and we finish that poem that we read it back.
Yeah.
Like wait a minute.
Been poems that I'll write, I might read it out loud just to see what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then I don't visit it again. And then I'll go to an open mic and I'll read it out loud and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that hit a little different.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. I did have a phase for a period of time in high school where I was like typing my stuff out on a computer, and that was pretty much the only way I wrote at that point. And it seemed to come to me faster. I don't think I could do that now. I think there's something about that pen in hand that just, I don't know, it just
flows.
It flows.
Yeah.
Even though half the time I can't read my own writing, it flows. Now, like you said, if it's something that just hits me, okay, I gotta type it out.
Yeah.
And if I'm really on a roll, I might finish it.
Yeah.
But the act of writing is just, it's therapeutic.
Very much so. Yeah. I used to write letters a lot when I was younger, which is why I think when I sit down and I'm very much so more intentional about my writing, of the act of physically writing, that's why for me, it feels a little more artistic in a sense, and it feels more connected to me.
Fair enough. So were you like, before you started writing poetry, were you like journaling? I know you said you were writing letters. Like I was never that person. I didn't write anything until I did.
Yeah. I used to journal, but I also too, my mom was kind of in and out of jail for most of my life. So I wrote a lot of letters there, going back and forth. And she actually wrote me poems, and we would send poems back and forth to each other as well too.
Now that's so you got it honest.
Yeah.
Got that poetry gene.
Yeah. But I also too, I read a lot of books as well, which kind of helped me in terms with my writing. And like I said, I've always, it helps to just get out of my head sometimes. And when I finally put the words to paper, I'm like, okay, I feel like I can take a breath now. But what would you say has, over the years, I'm sure your inspirations have changed. What would you say as of recently has been inspiring your writing?
Right now, I'm not really inspired. It depends. Like, I can go long spells of just not writing. Either because I'm just not inspired, or I'm being lazy and I just don't feel like trying. A lot of times I write about love or heartbreak, something, in that realm. Because that's honestly 75% of what I write. So it's 75% of what I perform. Other times I may have written about depression. That's not so frequent. I know poets that can write about depression. Like, okay, so I'm gonna shout this person out. Keith Edward Sowell. If you don't know who he is, he's a really dope poet in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I interviewed him. I believe it was show 39. This man writes about depression like it's nobody's business. But I understand, like, for that kind of thing, like, you gotta sit in it. I don't be wanting to sit in it.
Yeah.
And then there are some times where I'll write about my realization that I am dope. And not just as a poet, but as a person.
Yeah.
It's like I finally realized that dopeness. And I'm able to write it out. that's really my inspiration for the most part. I don't really write about social issues a lot.
Yeah.
I wish I did. Those are poems that be winning slams.
Right.
But I mean, I have poems about social issues, but not a lot. And the only reason that I even have poems about social issues is because I want to say between end of September to end of December last year, I put myself on this challenge where I would write a poem for each of the 50 states. And I had to use the state's name and the state's primary nickname and just play off of it. And so I think 16 poems were about social issues just based on the state's nickname.
Right.
Or whatever research I did on the state or the nickname itself or whatever. But granted, a third of those poems are about love and relationships. So if I put myself on a challenge, the inspiration comes from whatever theme I set.
Sure.
So actually I'm supposed to have myself on a challenge now. That's where the laziness kicks in. I haven't started that challenge yet.
I think it's important to have grace with yourself too, especially as a writer. I think part of being able to write is experiencing life and going through the emotions that you feel every day. Every day is a new day. So it's really an opportunity. Even if you did the same exact thing you did yesterday, you're still going to experience all new emotions. You might even run into new individuals. So I think it's important to train your brain to have grace in that aspect and knowing that it's going to come when it's supposed to, and you have been in a drought, but you very well by this time next week could have 3 new pieces. And so it's like the drought was kind of worth it in a sense.
You sound like somebody I just talked to recently by the name of Nick Fury. Shout out Nick Fury.
Shout out Nick Fury. Yeah, shout out Nick.
Don't tell nobody, but I'm going to get him on the show one day. That's my plan in the future. Don't tell him I said that. If he ever hears this, he'll know. But anyway, yeah, one day.
Yeah.
One day. We'll see. I think part of it is just me being in a new space. I've written since I've been out here, but it's not been much.
Yeah.
So
you're
maybe
still exploring though.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Have fun. Don't be so hard on yourself.
That is easier said than done.
That's true. Yeah, I hear that.
Because when I want to write, I want to write.
Yeah.
It's funny though, like I wrote this poem sometime last year and it starts with, I criticize myself for not being able to write when I haven't even picked up the pen. That's really how I'm feeling right now. Like, why are you not writing? Because I ain't been trying.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now.
You'll get there though. That's what matters.
Wise words from Mamba.mo. Okay. All right. I'm gonna sit on that for a minute. We about to go into this next track. Y'all be sure not to go anywhere. We will be back with Mo. Let's go. Keep it live. That's right. You are still tuned in to Overseas Dreams, show 47. I am still here with Mamba Mo. I'm going to just keep calling you Mamba Mo. I can't help it now.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Go ahead.
Ever since, like, I found out your IG handle, like, it's Mamba Mo. That's how you were in my phone. Mamba Mo. Okay, so, accountability. Let's talk about it. Because... like how has that been for you in the poetry scene?
Yeah, so it's funny actually. It's a lot easier for me to help encourage and empower and motivate other people and hold others accountable. But at times I do struggle with myself. But it's really kind of been a blessing to help motivate me when I do go to these different poetry scenes and open mics and perform, and someone will come up to me and be like, oh, I remember you from somewhere else, or they'll be like, that's so great, but when are you gonna have some new shit? And so like
wait,
right, I'm like, it's cooking, it's brewing, just wait. Like, yeah. But that definitely encourages me to know that people want to hear what I have to say. People care about it. They relate to it. And not only that, but they appreciate my artistry. So in a sense, that kind of motivates me to hold myself more accountable, because I'm like, oh, the people want to hear, and it's so much easier to deliver for other people sometimes than it is for myself. And I wish that wasn't always the case. I wish that, you know, when I wanted to write poems about a certain topic, or like when I just wanted to write and really dive into my creativity, that I could show up for myself the way that other people, and motivate myself the way that other people motivate me.
See, I can't operate like that. I'll get to the point where if I'm doing it for others, whether it's to boost my own ego or whatever the case may be, I can't, like, it stops being therapeutic for, like, I literally have to do it for me.
Yeah.
And nobody else. Like, if you benefit from it, fantastic. That's great. If you don't, that's still great. Because I did, just from getting up on the stage.
Right.
I wish I could be, I guess, motivated to do it for others.
See, I kind of would like to have a balance of both. I think it's important to have that both in moderations, because like I said, I'll show up for other people before I'll show up for myself, which is very unfortunate at times, but it's just the reality of the facts of it is all about balance. And when you do start showing up for yourself, that you celebrate you, and you celebrate your wins, and you celebrate yourself, and you don't just kind of view it as like, well, I wanted to do this, so it's no big deal that I did it anyways. You should clap for yourself.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Something I need to work on. I don't know. I think, like, I'm still in this weird space when it comes to performing. I do it for myself because, I mean, like, for me, like, you know, writing is therapeutic. Performing is a whole nother level. Like, even if I don't feel like performing, when I get up there after the night is done, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did, because I needed to. At the same time, I mean, you do want the recognition. I'm not gonna lie and say I don't.
Right.
So if somebody comes up to me like, oh, your poem was dope, I'm like, oh, thank you. Two things happen. Number one, I'm like, yeah, I know it was dope, I wrote it. But then the other side of it is, I feel like you just bigging me up.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as dope, but I don't know. Maybe because a lot of times I don't feel the same way about my poetry that somebody else does.
But let me ask you a bigger question.
Oh boy.
How often do you feel proud of yourself?
With poetry or in general?
In general, or poetry, both, if you'd like to answer both.
Poetry, I feel proud every time I write. So if that doesn't happen for a while, then in general, not entirely sure. I'm proud of little so back to the giving grace. I'm giving myself a little bit more grace. I'm learning to. Maybe not when I have writer's block or I don't try to write, but just in general, I'm trying to get to that point where I'm celebrating every little win, because a win is a win. Progress is progress. So I'm finally there. So I have noticed that I've been more proud of myself lately, just for doing little things here and there every day, especially if I'm consistent with it. I don't know. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
Because with poetry, it's different for me.
Sure.
It's like I can be proud of myself for going up there. But then when it comes time to slam and I'm in competition mode, I'm not very proud of myself. Because it's like, I want to win at some point.
Yeah. I think it's important to, even in moments when you don't win, to still celebrate the losses too, because it's lessons learned. And it's important to practice self-compassion in moments like that.
Have you ever slammed?
I have not ever slammed. I've been nervous too.
So you're going to by the end of the year? That's my goal anyway.
I'll make that with you. I'll say that I'll hold myself accountable to that. We
That's
can
my goal.
we can hold each other accountable for that.
So the last doo-wop slam of the year, we slamming.
We there.
Shout out to doo-wop.
Shout out to doo-wop.
Held every other month at Artsville. Super dope slam. It's lit. It's crunk. You know, whatever the kids say nowadays, because I have no idea. Yeah, it's dope. And I found out about it. Ooh, I want to say it was like right before I got out here, and I was like, okay, I need to work myself up to that. 'Cause I haven't slammed in a while. I'm trying to get better at the performing aspect. Like the writing, when I actually do write, that part is fine. It's the performance aspect that I lack. But yeah, by the end of the year, I do want to slam and doo-wop. So I'll make you do it with me.
We'll do it together.
Okay.
It's on accountability. That's on accountability.
Let's go. Stay on me.
Right?
Have you written today? No. So you gonna write?
Yes, we gonna write.
Yes, all right, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I have experienced accountability, you know, when I was in Fayetteville. But I'm still, you know, meeting poets out here. So trying to hold myself accountable right now. But I do think it's a whole nother level of pressure, good pressure, when you have accountability partners that are in the same thing as you.
Yeah. What does that look like for you? What does accountability from somebody else look like for you?
Staying on my ass till I write. Possibly giving me prompts. And that could go either way though, because sometimes people give me prompts and I can't do anything with it. My mind just doesn't work that way. So that's actually why I gave myself that particular challenge. I was not writing and I was angry about it, and no prompt that anybody gave me was working. So it's like, okay, I feel like I need to give myself the prompt.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
I kind of like that. I feel like that's something I think I'm gonna take from today and kind of use for myself in terms of creating challenges for myself, and holding myself accountable. I think I enjoy competing, and I think the biggest person you compete with is yourself oftentimes. So I think, you know, putting that challenge out there and not really viewing it as like a goal or a benchmark or something, but more so say to challenge yourself and call it a challenge. I think that holds a lot more power and weight to it.
Sure. And I gave myself a due date for that. Like I had to be finished by
deadline.
December 31st.
Yeah, that's smart. That's
if I
really
didn't give myself a date, I still be working on it now.
Yeah, that's really smart. Because I'm, even in my professional life, I have several overlapping deadlines that meet all of the time, and I've never missed a deadline. In fact, I normally enjoy getting my stuff done ahead of time, so thank you for that.
You're so welcome. I be trying to inspire the people, you know what I'm saying? I be trying.
Yeah.
I be trying. Every little bit. So you got another poem you want to share for us?
I do. So I spoke a little bit on my mother earlier in the podcast. So this poem is, again, still graced with love, and it's called Dosing.
Bad. Let's go.
You dozed off on the couch again. I began to cover your cold, pale, gray skin. You thought I was too young to comprehend, but even back then, when I was 10, I know the expense to which your body depends on drugs to defend your mind from taking revenge. You would get high and play pretend with me. So you shared some of the pain you underwent and began to vent and tell me how your stepfamily would torment and offend you. I can't blame you. In fact, I commend you for still being here. Failed tries of rehab just to be cleansed from a lifetime worth of traumas that keep you from being present. Being misunderstood and represented as the black sheep of the family, I forgive you for wanting to live in fantasy. Frantically grasping for the air and talking to things that aren't there, trying to hold on to your sanity, then dosing again to escape this reality. But the agony of addiction has rapidly spread. Now a daughter without her mother, what a tragedy to be reminded of mortality. Naturally taking on the mentality at the age of 5, it was my fault for this catastrophe. I carried that weight for so long it felt like gravity and fought with the demons in my head that used to battle me. Oof. I'm not gonna lie, the actuality is that the totality of this all reminded me of the capacity I have to love. Sometimes the brutality of life is a fallacy to make the thought that you are less than a normality. Oh, how that atrocity has now helped to preserve me and understand duality, bringing about the formality that there's sunshine after the rain. You cannot have yin without the yang. You cannot have love and happiness without pain. This is a lesson I'm still learning today, but every time I complain, I remind myself of all the bullshit I overcame. Reclaiming my power and grabbing control of the reins, because this is my game that I get to play and I cannot succumb to the intrusive thoughts in my brain. Damn. I just wish my mother would have felt the same.
Ooh-wee.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just let you go into that.
Sure.
Just what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, my mother has struggled with addiction my whole life. And I say fortunately, because I have been able to learn and grow a lot from that. It took me a while to forgive her and to really understand and to not blame myself for it. And to really, harness that power of knowing that, like, you know what? There are yin and yangs, there's positive and negatives. You as above, so below. You kind of have to have that balance throughout your life and understand that you are bigger than everything you've been through. You are bigger than the demons that are in your head, bigger than the monsters that are in your head. And the first half of that poem is about me forgiving her and really truthfully looking at her as her own person instead of looking at her as my mother. When I took that title away from her and realized that this is her first time experiencing this life too, and this is her first time being a mother, and just based off of some of what she has opened up to me about, I was really able to understand her as a person better and know that she was drowning. And unfortunately, the ways that she chose to cope, yes, it's not the most favorable, but that's how she chooses to move through life and deal with those. I'm very fortunate to be breaking generational curses.
Hey, let's go.
So that's that poem was kind of inspired about, as I spoke on earlier, being able to love family or being able to love people even after they've done you wrong, and really learning and knowing that this is everybody's first time and you should have grace for others. And it's hard to forgive. It's really hard to forgive sometimes, but when you understand what forgiveness actually looks like and you allow yourself to truly forgive people, even the ones who have hurt you the most, you have so much more peace and are able to move forward. Before I had forgiven her, I had moved with a lot of anger in my body and in my actions. I could be very spiteful at times towards other people who had homes that weren't broken. And was just kind of looking at them like, you don't know how good you have it. And then, when I finally changed my mindset on that and forgave my mother and realized, you know what, I am actually grateful for this upbringing because it's taught me a lot and it's helped me to grow strong and helped me to have strength and really truly get a deeper understanding of other people. That's when I started celebrating others. That's when also too I saw all the beauty that was in my life despite things that I considered once before broken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's dope. That's
Thank you.
I remember telling you this at Nostalgia. Your rhyme game is crazy.
Just wait till this last poem I got for you.
Oh no.
Oh, you gotta stay with me. It feels like a ribbon. I'm so excited. It's a new word piece. I actually don't know that you've heard it. But yeah, it's fun to play with words. I love wordplay.
I'm trying to get better at that. Because when I was like writing in high school and even college, I used to force myself to rhyme.
Yeah.
And while it was great, it was a lot of writer's block that came with that.
1,000%.
Like now, I don't try to rhyme intentionally, and I notice that when I do try, it's like, all right, stop. You do not have to rhyme, just write.
Yeah.
So it's way better. So how would you, if you had to describe your writing style, how would you describe it outside of just rhyming like crazy? Because oh man.
Shoot, that's a tough question. I would very much describe my writing style as kind of like they're punches, they're jabs. They're very powerful. I'm very intentional about my word placement, and something I have been trying to be better about is knowing that not all my poems gotta write. And I think I do experience a lot of writer's block when I'm trying to like, what's the exact right word that fits in there? But also too, how can I describe what I'm feeling or my emotions or the life experiences I've had with such a limited selection of words? I think I would describe my writing style very much as glowing. I would think that it glows. I would think that it's a seed that can kind of be planted in you and can grow and glow. And you feel it because of the jabs that it gives you. You can feel the impact of the words. I would say impactful. Yeah. That's the best. I'd say impactful.
Yeah, I've if I need to, I'll go to like rhymezone.com, or I might go to a thesaurus. I'm always looking up synonyms because unlike you, I was not a reader. I'm still not a reader. Books are boring, but stay in school, kids. Like I feel like if I had read more, my imagination would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I feel like now I'm trying to not necessarily play catch up. I'm still not into reading, but just find more words.
Maybe you just haven't been reading the right books.
That's what it is. Just gotta figure it out what interests me.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are a lot of words in the English language. I have a poem called Pros and Cons, and the pattern is that the first half of the poem starts with words that begin with pro, whether they're positive or negative. And then the second half begins with words that start with con. And just looking up the long list of words that start with pro and con, I was just like, wow, I forgot about that word. Oh my gosh, this word exists. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, the English language is absolutely wild and arguably one of the hardest to learn. I feel like I'm learning new English words every day almost.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. I feel like sometimes I just need to sit and read a dictionary and I can write like the best poem ever.
I'll tell you the best piece of advice anybody ever told me. Don't try to be like me, be better than me.
Right now, I'm just going to try to be better than myself.
I know that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because see, when I think like that, now I'm going into competition mode.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like I've realized. And maybe, I don't know if it's like my mindset as far as like my writing style, or I'm just not in the headspace for it. I don't write for competition. I just write. And if I think it's a slam piece, then I'll slam with it.
Yeah, sure.
Because when I intentionally try to be clever, that's when it's bad.
Yeah.
It might be clever, but it's bad.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And I'm looking at it like, ugh, throw that away.
I grew up with competition, and competition motivates me. So that's how my brain is kind of wired. I grew up in sports, and just in general, I felt like I've had to compete and try to be the best in a lot of areas of my life. And so when I do write to be with the intent and the mindset that I want to be the best, which might be a little toxic to myself, and I know and understand that. It is. But, I get some great art pieces out of it. So for right now, understanding and knowing that that's kind of what works for me. I'm also a perfectionist too, though. So it's like, again, that whole competition aspect, it's not necessarily competing with others, but again, competing with myself and trying to be perfect for me. And thinking about what that means to me of it being perfect. Because I know if it's perfect for me, I know that there's very good likelihood it could be perfect for others.
Okay. All right. I put a lot of pressure on myself though.
Yeah.
It goes back to doing things for other people. I know that I write for me.
Right.
So most of the time I'm not thinking too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I start doing open mics not too much, there's no such thing as too much, but you'll get what I'm saying. Like,
saturated.
I start to write with performing it in mind. It's like, not every piece needs to be performed. Just
exactly.
write.
Yeah. I have a lot of pieces that I haven't performed and that I don't know that I ever will perform, just because I think it's just better to keep it to myself and good as a reminder and being able to see my growth. But also too, like, some stuff you just don't have to share with everybody, and that's okay.
Absolutely. All right, y'all don't go anywhere. We're about to come back with the rhyme monster, Mamba Mo, in a minute. Y'all be sure to keep it locked.
We came to rock the party, gotta turn the party out. We came to rock the party, gotta turn the party out. Came to rock the party, gotta turn the party out. Came to rock the party, gotta turn the party out.
The healing you bring to my divine feminine energy, it's something I've been looking for centuries. You have a tendency to feed me mentally and expand my spiritual capacities. This love I have for you grows endlessly and feels better than ecstasy. You tenderly caress me, even your touch feels heavenly. Every time we're together, we create everlasting memories that I'll forever treasure with me. You're a visionary that complements me cleverly in every endeavor, no matter the specialty. Your empathy is a remedy that brings me serenity. Quite literally, you're like my favorite art gallery. With all your obscenities, your identity is essentially the most grand documentary that intensively leaves me breathlessly pondering what planet you came from energetically. I've been blessed with the liberty to love you restlessly, and it's a guarantee I'll love you for longer than a legacy, exponentially. Your charity and masculinity makes me feel more womanly. Having you in my life is like a fantasy, and I don't want to wake up from this odyssey. Your company abundantly nourishes my soul healthily. In my eyes, you're notably the primary person who genuinely sees me aboriginally. Instantly, I knew from your presence that consciously this was beyond our mortality. Transparently, sometimes it's a mystery how you bring me victory, cheerfully leading me with your bravery. I wonder if it's in your blood, hereditary. But there's something about you that's so heavenly. I've seen angel numbers for a long time, but with you, there's all the synchronicities. It's comedy for me to question a love of such degree. Helplessly, I don't fall in love with you. I rise for an eternity. So thank you for this guarantee that this love isn't a conspiracy. Everything you do brings validity with your elderly soul that brings me ease. Notably, you've shown me that love is the best therapy. The tranquility of your presence feels better than any present. And I'm not ashamed to admit you got a grip on me that grows stronger every time we kiss. It's pure bliss that makes me feel higher than the priestess. Even in the darkness, you shine a light into all of my crevices. The thought of you makes my heart sprint. You leave an imprint, a hint of your energy that feels like a syringe that sinks into me and convinces me that this is more than just destiny. To put it into summary, you have a mastery with a degree in love. It's no discrepancies when I say that I love you beyond all frequencies, both here on earth and from above.
You are the rhyme queen, okay? Like, all I heard was E.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. When I was writing that poem, that was another one that kind of just flowed through me. I actually had two separate poems. One was called Crush, and then that one was called Love. And I ended up writing them at two separate times. And as I was writing Love, I was like, there's some stuff in here that actually kind of fits. And as I was looking up words, I was like, wow, I forgot about exponentially, legacy,
Yeah.
spiritually, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And it somehow just flowed through me. I wrote that poem in probably about 3 to 5 days, I'll say. I put the finishing touches on it in about that 5th day. It's about 2 or 3 different writing sessions, but that one was fun to make because I didn't realize how many words did rhyme and went actually with the topic of what I was talking about.
What's the longest it's ever taken you to write a poem that you finished?
Probably 3 months. Yeah. I'll sit with something for a while if I don't feel like it's finished yet. And like I kind of talked on earlier, just allow myself more space to experience life and to really dive in and understand the emotion. Like, what does that emotion mean to me? What is it like? The experiences that I have throughout my life, what kind of brought that up? How does it feel in my body? How did I react to that emotion? What did it bring up or trigger for me? So if I have a piece that I don't feel like is finished yet and I need to come back to it, I wait for life to kind of happen to bring that up and provide me with more inspiration. Or there's sometimes where, like you were saying earlier, just kind of struggling with accountability of coming back to it. And so it's taken me as long as 3 months to write a poem.
Okay, that's not too bad. I think the longest poem it's taken me to write is about 2 months, so
yeah,
I feel that. Okay. Rhyme queen. Rhyme queen. Oh man, it's crazy how you write. Like, I know everybody has their uniqueness about them. You definitely have that about you.
Thank you.
Like, it's like you start rhyming and you just go off.
Yeah.
into a rhyming tangent, and I'm just like,
you gotta stay with me because you can get lost in the rhymes if you're not careful, or you'll miss some bars that are in there if you are not listening intently. But I'm a type of person who I honestly feel everything so deeply, even from my peers and those around me. The way that I feel is very intensely. So I kind of write with that same purpose of like, the best way for me to allow you to understand how intensely I feel this emotion is to give you words that I know will mean something to you and hold weight.
I feel that. And you've been writing how long?
Probably I'd say about like 4 or 5 years.
Girl,
yeah. It started out rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't believe none of that coming out your mouth. You got it.
Thank you. It's been a journey and I've loved it. It's something, like I said, is very much like a therapy session to me every time that I sit down and write. But not only that too, it's a way for me to allow others into me more. And it's a way for me to express better.
See, that part is weird for me because I don't want to allow you to know me.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't want you to know me.
Vulnerability is a very tough subject for a lot of people, but I think you grow the strongest and most deepest connections when you're able to be vulnerable with others and expect that in return.
I'm still working on that part. A lot of
it's
times,
not easy.
Poetry for me ends up being like a mirror.
Yeah.
I tell on myself a lot.
Yeah.
In my writing, and I read it back and I'm like, ooh, okay, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
All right, cool, I guess.
Yeah. There's definitely been times when I've been caught up in the writing and I'll read it back and I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize it was like that.
I didn't know it was like that.
Right. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, yeah. Like when I wrote about that piece, I have struggled with relationships and just the concept of love in general, rather if it was platonic through friendships or with family or a significant other. And so I've been blessed with the opportunity to feel love recently and truly understand what that means for me. So when I had wrote that poem and I read it back to myself, I was like, this is crazy, because if you would have read this to the Morgan I was 3 years ago, I probably would have looked at you and laughed and been like, psh. Like, I probably would have looked at you and told you, yeah, right, you're not going to feel like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's been really a blessing, I guess you could say, to kind of have that opportunity to get more in touch with yourself and be more vulnerable with yourself. I think that's really how you can kind of be more vulnerable with other people, is when you understand yourself better.
Yes, ma'am. I find myself just saying yes, ma'am, because I don't know. It's funny because when I first started therapy in April, May of 2022, like, I thought I was being honest in my writing anyway. 'Cause I tend not to hold back in my poetry. But I want to say toward, I don't know, September, October of last year, she told me, you're more honest in your writing. And I'm like, well, I've been trying to be honest this whole time. What you mean I'm more honest? Like,
right.
But I look back at my stuff and I'm like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It's like, because now, whereas before I might say what's on my mind, but now it's like things are coming out of me that I didn't know was on my heart.
That part.
So it's like, okay, yeah, like I didn't know it was that serious.
Yeah.
Until I wrote it.
It's easy for there to be a disconnect between the heart and the mind often. My heart will tell me one thing and my mind will tell me something else, and it's like, which one do I listen to? But really understanding they work in tandem together. And when you get them on that same wavelength to work simultaneously together, then I feel like that's really when you can start growing and being more honest with yourself about, you know what, it's okay that I feel this. It's okay that my heart feels this way, and it's okay that my brain knows this. How can we work together to get something out of that?
Okay. I feel like for me, sometimes it's like my mind doesn't know how my heart feels.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's why I was like, I tell on myself. Like I write something that I either didn't realize was there, or maybe I did and I just suppressed it and it just came out because the line before that led into it or something.
Yeah.
Because I try to write the very first thing that comes to mind. I try not to think about it for too long, otherwise writer's block is crazy. So if I sit down to write and the first thing that crosses my mind is tacos, well, guess what? I guess I'm writing about tacos, because I'm gonna find some kind of metaphor in there or something.
Yeah.
Because if I think about it too long, and sometimes I have to say stuff out loud. Okay, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Tacos. Okay, what about tacos? Like I have to talk myself through it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, all right.
And then allow yourself that space to feel can be difficult at times. Yeah. I struggle with that too. My heart will communicate to my mind and tell me one thing, but my mind is very quick to shut my heart down. And my mind can kind of
be a bully.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my mind can definitely be a bully to my heart. And it's all about that balance of really telling your mind, like, hey, take a step back and feel this for a second. Take a step back and allow your heart to speak. It's okay. And I think that's something that, we here as a society can kind of struggle with nowadays. I mean, if you go online and you just see how people or men and women talk about each other, it's a lot of times it's their mind speaking before their heart does. Or sometimes they don't have a mind at all, and I don't know what's speaking, but
yeah. One thing I've realized, is this whole thing is like, well, maybe you said something because you were mad, and then you turn around and be like, oh, I didn't mean that. And some people are under the impression like, oh, okay, well, they truly didn't mean it. And then others are like, no, you said it, so you meant it. Because I write, the first thing that pops in my head, exactly how it pops in my head. I'm under the impression that, like, no, the first thing that comes to your mind is really how you feel. Because there have been poems where I might premeditate it and I can tell it was a premeditated line. And then there are other poems that I wrote the first thing that came to me, and it was just like, no, I meant every word of that.
Right. Yeah.
So
I said it with my chest.
I said it with my
Say it
chest.
again.
Yes. So it's like the whole, back to the whole, well, I didn't mean that. You did in the moment.
Right.
Because your first thought is your most honest thought. Maybe that's why I'm more honest in my writing, because I write the first thing that comes to me. Whereas, like, even 2 years ago, I wasn't doing that. I was writing, and I was writing long pieces. I was writing good pieces, but it wasn't the absolute first thing to pop in my head. I was still kind of premeditating it.
Yeah.
So, just learning something about myself now that I hear myself talking out loud.
Yeah.
It's okay. All right. I see you, therapist. Shout out to my therapist. Yeah. I don't know. Poetry just, it does something to me.
It's
and
healing.
Like it is. And even talking to you, like, I'm getting inspired. Like, maybe I should try to write tonight. I need you to do something for me.
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna call you.
There you go.
At the end of the night, I'm gonna say,
you knew where I was
where's
going.
the poem at? You're gonna have to tell me, I'm waiting.
You knew where I was going.
You already know. Yeah.
See, I love you already. Now I got my accountability partner, y'all. Yeah. Okay. Dope. Where do you see yourself going in the future poetically?
Oh,
Other than you're gonna slam by the end of the year, because we're both gonna do it.
I know that's right. I definitely plan on writing books, and I'm currently in the process of writing a couple of books.
Ooh,
so
a couple
of books.
Not even one.
Yeah, one's a poetry book, the other one's fiction, non-fictionist kind of.
So you a writer?
A little bit. I do a little something.
A little something.
But definitely see myself going there. And I've always, I am a life coach, so shout out to me. But
hey,
I definitely see myself going somewhere in terms of public speaking and being able to unite people through poetry and inspire people through poetry and through my words. I think words have power and words have meaning. They always have that, famous saying of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's not true necessarily, because my bones can heal, but some of these words have stuck with me throughout my whole life. So, I just want to bring more healing to people with the words and teach them to be kinder to themselves and kinder to others, really. So yeah, it's kind of near future for me. Don't want to say too much and spoil it.
Okay. All right.
No,
I was about to
okay.
say, you got a title for the book of poetry, or you want
No,
to
not
put
yet.
that on?
Yeah,
Okay.
not yet. I don't have a title for the book of poetry.
How many poems is it gonna be?
The other book is gonna be called Forget Me Not.
Ooh.
So.
All right, Patrice Rushen.
Yeah.
If y'all don't know that song, go look it up. That's what Men in Black was based off of. Okay. How many poems, do you know how many poems are going to be in the other one?
And so the poetry book I'm currently writing, I'm planning for anywhere between like 150 to 200 poems.
Whoa, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, we'll see. That very well could get shaved down depending on the length of poems. I know I want
Or you can make it a series.
Yeah, it's most likely going to be a series. I think the first book is really going to be based off of emotions, and the second book will be based off of life experiences, and the third book is going to be more so kind of a combination of both.
Already talking about a third book. Boy.
Yeah.
You working.
Yeah.
See, that's why I need accountability. I need that discipline.
I know as far as the book sizes, I want them to be 150 to 200 pages. I definitely think I'll have some pieces that will be over 1 page. So I'm shooting for like 150 poems, but more than likely we'll probably be about 120, 115.
What are you what route are you thinking about going, like the self-published route, or you trying to get up with a publisher, or you don't want to say that right now?
No, I'm looking towards the self-publisher route and promoting myself. I have big plans for myself in the next 5 years in terms of just where I plan to be professionally and business-wise, and being able to have the connects and the network and support behind me. Publishing, it's not about the money, and I know with publishers sometimes it can be difficult, and you don't always get the credit that you're due, and I'm putting in all the fruits to my labor, so I would like to eat the fruits off that tree.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when you self-publish, go ahead and tell me how that was like.
Absolutely.
I need to know. I need to know.
Yeah.
And y'all look out. She coming out with 3 books of poetry and another book. Just author all around.
Give me a couple years. We're in the making.
Give her a couple years. She gonna blow up. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at mamba.mo. That is mamba.moe. That's really the only social media that I have. I'm not huge on the social media scene. I like to just be present.
I feel you. I'm not either. I'm literally on Instagram because of my show.
Yep.
And, I mean, that's how it started. My poetry's on there, but it's mainly for overseas streams because, it's the best radio station on earth and in space, or, whatever somebody said. So, okay. All right. I appreciate you being on here.
I appreciate you having me. This has been great.
Absolutely.
You already know, being a part of the best radio show here on earth.
Let's go.
And in space.
Come on.
Right. Can't get better than that.
It's
really
a party.
Can't. Really can't.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys come out to Cincinnati. Check us out here. We have a really incredible scene.
Absolutely. And if you ain't been in Nostalgia, check out Nostalgia. It's a whole vibe. The whole aspect of life. I'm gonna have them play behind me one day. I just gotta, that's a mental thing for me.
Yeah, me too.
But one day, I'm gonna have them play behind me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole, and then the red light, you can't see nobody.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's a blessing.
I don't want to see y'all. I get nervous.
Yep.
But yeah, for sure. I definitely look forward to seeing you at more. I know I've been hiding a little bit lately. I'm gonna work on that.
It's okay. We're gonna bring you out the woodworks.
Yeah.
Starting tonight.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes, ma'am. But I want to thank you for being here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all already know what the deal is. Overseas Dreams Radio on SoundCloud and YouTube. You get to see Mo's lovely face as well as my own, and any other poets that I've interviewed. If you want to check them out, check them out. Until next time, be blessed. Peace. You're listening to Overseas Dreams.